Butterflies are insects that have large, often brightly colored wings and a fluttering flight. The group comprise the superfamilies Hediloidea and Papilionoidea. Butterfly fossils have been dated to the about 56 million years ago. Butterflies have a four-stage life cycle as like most insects that undergo complete metamorphosis. Winged adult lay eggs on the food plant on which their larvae, known as caterpillars, will feed. The caterpillars grow sometimes very rapidly and when fully developed, pupate in a chrysalis. When metamorphosis is complete, the pupal skin split, the adult insect climbs out, expands its wings to dry, and flies off. Some butterflies, especially in the tropics, have several generations in a year, while others have a single generation, and a few in cold locations may take several years to pass through their entire life cycle. Butterflies are often polymorphic, and many species make use of camouflage, mimicry, and aposematism to evade their predators. Some, like the monarch and the painted lady, migrate over long distance. Many butterflies are attacked by parasites or parasitoids, including wasps, protozoans, flies, and other invertebrates are preyed upon by other organisms. Some species are pests because in their larval stages they can damage domestic crops or trees. Other species are agents of pollination of some plants. Larvae of a few butterflies eat harmful insects, and a few are predators of ants, while others live as mutualists in association with ants. Culturally, certainly, butterflies are a popular motif in the visual and literary arts. Smith Institution says that butterflies are certainly one of the most appealing creatures in nature. Benefits of insects to humans. From the original book was retrieved in 24 September 2021. So if we will talk about the earliest stage, the earliest Lepidoptera fossils date to the Triassic-Jurassic boundary around 200 million years ago. Butterflies evolved from moths. So while the butterflies are monophyletic, forming a single clade, the moths are not. The oldest known butterfly is Protocolylides christenseni from the Paleocene aged for formation of Denmark. Approximately 55 million years old, which belongs to the family Hesperidae skippers. Molecular clock estimates suggest that butterflies originated sometimes in the mid-Cretaceous, but only significantly diversified during the Cenozoic. Genetic data suggests they originated in North America 100 million ago from a nocturnal moth nester that fed on legumes. Only about 17 million years ago did they colonize Europe. The oldest American butterfly is the late Eocene poured from the fluorescent fossil beds approximately 34 million years ago. So if we will talk about their taxonomy and phylogeny, their scientific classifications is in the Macropedio suborder clade. So from the order Lepidoptera, which also includes moths, traditionally butterflies have been divided into the superfamily Papilionidea, excluding the smaller groups of the Hesperida skippers and the more moths like Hadidae of America. Phylogenetic analysis suggests that the traditional, with respect to the others two groups, so they should both be included within Papilionidea to form a single butterfly group, thereby synonymous with the clade Rhopalocera. If we will talk about their life cycle, butterflies in their adult stage can live from a week to nearly a year, depending on the species. Many species have long larval life stages, while others can remain dormant in their pupal or egg stages and thereby survive winters. The Melica arctic overwinters twice as a caterpillar. Butterflies may have one or more broods per year. The number of generations per year varies from temperate to tropical regions, which tropically regions showing a trend towards multivoltinism. Courtship is often aerial and often involves pheromones. Butterflies then land on the ground or on a perch to mate. Copulation takes place tail to tail and may last from minutes to hours. Simple photoreceptors cells located at the genitals are important for this and other adult behavior. So if we will talk about the vast majority of butterflies have a 4-stage life cycle: egg, larva, pupa, and image, adult. In the genera Coleus, Arabia, Ichlu, and a small number of species are known that reproduce semi-partheny genetically. When the female dies, a partially developed larva emerges from her abdomen. So if we will talk about the eggs, butterfly eggs are protected by a hard ridged outer layer of shell called the chorion. This is lined with a thin coating of wax which prevents the egg from drying out before the larva has had time to fully develop. Each egg contains a number of tiny funnel-shaped openings at one end, called micropyles. The purpose of these holes is to allow sperm to enter and fertilize the egg. Butterfly eggs vary greatly in size and shape between species, but are usually upright and finely sculpted. Some species lay eggs singly, others in batches. Many females produce between 100 and 200 eggs. Butterfly eggs are fixed to a leaf with a special glue which hardens rapidly. As it hardens, it contracts, deforming the shape of the egg. This glue is easily seen surrounding the base of every egg, forming a meniscus. So butterfly larvae or caterpillar consume plant leaves and spend practically all of their time searching for and eating food. Although most caterpillars are herbivorous, a few species are predators. So they eat scale insects, while Lake Kennedy's such as Lifera, Brussels, or Myrmecophilios eating ant larvae. Some larvae, especially those of the from mutual associations with ants, they communicate with the ants using vibrations that are transmitted through the substrate as well as using chemical signals. The ant provides some degree of protein to these larvae and they in turn gather honeydew secretions. Large blue caterpillars trick ants into taking them back to the ant colony where they feed on the ant eggs and larvae in a parasitic relationship. Caterpillars mature through a series of developmental stages known as instars. Near the end of each stage, the larva undergoes a process called apolysis, mediated by the release of a series of new hormones. During this phase, the suitable, a tough outer layer made of a mixture of chitin and specialized proteins is released from the softer epidermis beneath, and the epidermis begins to form a new cuticle. So, if we will talk about the adult, the reproductive stage of the insect is the winged adult or imago. So, the surface of both butterflies and moths is covered by scales, each of which is an outgrowth from a single epidermal cell. The head is small and dominated by the two large compound eyes. These are capable of distinguishing flowers, shapes or motion, but cannot view distant objects clearly. Color perception is good, especially in some species in the blue-violet range. The antennae are composed of many segments and have club tips, unlike moths, and have tapering or feathery antennae. The sensory receptors are concentrated in the tips and can detect odors. Taste receptors are located on the palps and on the feet. The mouth parts are adapted to sucking and the mandibles are using reproduce in size are absent. The first maxillae are elongated into a tubular proboscis which is curled up at rest and expanded when need to feed. The first and second maxillae bear palps which function as sensory organs. Some species have a reduced probo or maxillary pulps and do not feed adult. Many butterflies also use their probo to feed on pollen. In these species, only 20% of the amino acids used in reproduction come from larva feeding, which allow them to develop more quickly as caterpillars and gives them a longer lifespan of several months as adults. The thorax of the butterfly is devoted to locomotion. Each of the three thorax segments have two legs. First pair is reduced and the insects walk on four legs. The second and third segments of the thorax bear the wings. The leading edges of the forewings have thick veins to strengthen them, and the hind wings are smaller and more rounded and have fewer stiffening veins. The forewings and hind wings are not hooked together, but are coordinated by the friction of their overlapping parts. The front two segments have a pair of spiracles which are used in respiration. The abdomen consists of 10 segments and contains the gut and genital organs. The front 8 segments have spercle and the terminal segment is modified for reproduction. The male has a pair of clasping organs attached to a ring structure, and during copulation, a tubular structure is extruded and inserted into the female's vagina. A spermatophore is deposited in the female, following which the sperm make their way to a seminal receptacle where they are stored for later use. In both genitalia are adorned with various spines, teeth, scales, and bristles. So if we will talk about the behavior of butterflies feed primarily on nectar from flowers. Some also derive nourishment from pollen, tree sap, rotting fruits, dung, decaying flesh, and dissolved minerals in wet sand or dirt. Butterflies are important as pollinators for some species of plants. In general, they do not carry as much pollen load as bees, but they are capable of moving pollen over greater distances. Flower constancy has been observed for at least one species of butterfly. Adult butterflies consume only liquid ingested through the proboscis. They sip water from damp patches for hydration and feed on nectar from flower, from which they obtain sugars for energy and sodium and other minerals vital for reproduction. Several species of butterflies need more sodium than that provided by nectar and are attracted by sodium in salt. They sometimes land on people attracted by the salt in human sweat. Some butterflies also visit dung and scavenge rotting fruit or carcasses to obtain minerals and nutrients. In many species, this mud puddling behavior is restricted to the males, and studies have suggested that the nutrients collected may be provided as a nuptial gift also with the spermatophore during mating. So butterflies use their antennae to sense the air for wind and scents. The antennae come in various shapes and colors. The Hesperids have a pointed angle or hook to the antennae, while most other families show knobbed antennae. The antennae are richly covered with sensory organs known as sensillae. A butterfly's sense of taste is coordinated by chemoreceptors on the tarsi or feet, which work only on contact and are used to determine whether an egg-laying insect's offspring will be able to feed on a leaf before eggs are laid on it. Many butterflies use chemical signals, pheromones. Some have specialized scent scales, androconia or other structures, cerimata or hair pencils in the Danaidae. VN is well developed in butterflies, and most species are sensitive to the ultraviolet spectrum. Many species show sexual dimorphism in the patterns of UV reflective patches. Color VN may be widespread but has been demonstrated in only a few species. Some butterflies have organs of hearing, and some species make stridulatory and white clicking sounds. Many species of butterfly maintain territories and actively chase other species or individuals that may stray into them. Some species will bask or perch on chosen perches. The flight style and butterflies are often characteristics, and some species have courtship flight display. So, if we will talk about the ecology, so butterflies are threatened in their early stages by parasitoids and in all stages by predators, diseases, and environmental factors. Braconid and other parasitic wasps lay their eggs in Lepidopteran eggs or larvae, and the wasps' parasitoid larvae devour their hosts, usually pupating inside or outside the desiccated husk. Most wasps are very specific about their host species, and some have been used as biological controls of pest butterflies like the large white butterfly. When the small cabbage white was accidentally introduced to New Zealand, it had no natural enemies in order to control it. Some pupa had been parasitized by a calcid wasp were imported, and natural control was thus regained. Some flies lay their eggs on the outside of caterpillars, and the newly hatched fly larvae bore their way through the skin and feed in a similar way to the parasitoid wasp larva. So predators of butterflies include ants, spiders, wasps, and birds. Caterpillars are also affected by the range of bacterial, viral, and fungal diseases, and only a small percentage of the butterfly eggs laid ever reach adulthood. The bacterium Bacillus has been used in sprays to reduce damage to crops by the caterpillars of the large white butterfly, and the entomopathogenic fungus Bassiana has proved effective for the reduced damage to crops by caterpillars. So that is for the same purpose. So endangered species, Queen Alexandra, found in Papua New Guinea, is the largest butterfly in the world. The species in danger is one of only 3 insects making international trade illegal. So black grass, dark butterfly, Hesperidae, and is a butterfly of the family. It is endemic to New South Wales. It has a very limited distribution in the Bombay area. So if we will talk about the defenses, butterflies protect themselves from predators by a variety of means. Chemical defenses are widespread and are mostly based on chemicals of plant origin. In many cases, the plant themselves evolved these toxic substances as protection against herbivores. Butterflies have evolved mechanisms to scatter these plant toxins and use them instead in their own defense. These defense mechanisms are effective only if they are well advertised. This has led to the evolution of bright colors in unpalatable butterflies. So this signal is commonly mimicked by other butterflies, usually only females. A Batesian mimic imitates another species to enjoy the protection of their species. Approximatum. The common Mormon of India has female moths which imitate the unplatable red-bodied swallow-tailed, the common rose and crimson rose, Mollerian mimicry occurs when species evolve that resemble each other, presumably to reduce predator sampling rates. From the America are good example like heliconius butterflies. Camouflage is found in many butterflies. Some like the oak leaf butterfly and autumn leaf are remarkable imitations of leaves. As caterpillars, many defend themselves by freezing and appearing like sticks on branches. Others have emetic behaviors such as rearing up and waving their front ends, which are marked with eye spots as if they were snakes. Some papilionid caterpillars such as the giant swallowtail and resembled bird dropping so as to the passed over by predators. So many tropical butterflies have seasonal forms for dry and wet seasons. These are switched by the hormones, so the dry seasons form are usually more cryptic, perhaps offering better camouflage when vegetation is scarce. Dark colors in wet seasons form may help to absorb solar radiation. Butterflies without defenses such as toxins or mimicry protect themselves through a flight that is more bumpy and unpredictable than in their species. It is assumed this behavior makes it more difficult for predators to catch them and is caused by the turbulence created by the small whirlpool formed by the wings during flight. So if we will talk about their culture, so butterflies have appeared in art from 3,500 years ago in ancient Egypt. In the ancient city Teotihuacan, the brilliantly colored image of the butterfly was carved into many temples, buildings, jewelry, and emblems on incense burners. The butterfly was sometimes depicted with the maw of a jaguar, and some species were considered to be the reincarnations of the souls of dead warriors. The close association of butterflies with fire and warfare persisted into the Aztec civilization. Evidence of similar jaguar butterfly image has been found among the Zapotec and Maya civilization. Butterflies are widely used in objects of art and jewelry, mounted in frames, embedded in resin, displayed in bottles, laminated in paper, and used in some mixed media networks, and compiled a photographic containing all 26 letters and the numeral and 0 to 9 from the wings of butterflies. So Sir John Tenniel drew a famous illustration of Alice meeting a caterpillar for Lewis Alice in Wonderland in 1865. The caterpillar is seated on a toadstool and is smoking a hookah. The image can be read as showing either the four legs of the larva or as suggesting a face with protruding nose and chin. So we will talk about the mythology and folklore. According to Mr. Leif Hearn, a butterfly was seen in Japan as the personification of a person's souls, whether they be living, dying, or already dead. One Japanese superstition says that if a butterfly enters your guest room and perches behind the bamboo screen, the person whom you most love is coming to see you. Large numbers of butterflies are viewed as bad omens. When Terra no Masakado was secretly preparing his famous revolt, a swarm of butterflies appeared in Kyoto. The people were frightened, thinking the apparition to be a portent of coming evil. So, if we will talk about collecting and recording and rearing. Collecting means preserving dead specimens, not keeping butterflies as pets. Collecting butterflies was once a popular hobby. It has now largely been replaced by photography, recording, and rearing butterflies for release in the wild. The zoological illustrator, Mr. Frederick William, succeed in rearing all the butterfly species found in Britain at a rate of 4 per year to enable him to draw every stage of each species. He published the results in the folio-sized handbook, The Natural History of British Butterflies in 1924. Study of the structural coloration of the wing scales of swallowtail butterflies has led to the development of more efficient light-emitting diodes and is inspiring nanotechnology research to produce paints and do not use toxic pigments and the development of new display technologies. So there are so many things about the camouflage, autumn leaf, dimatic, about this beautiful insect, butterfly.